we're also going to talk a little bit about an event that's going on here in Colorado Springs. So for all of you listening and watching out there on the air, we have the U.S. Cannabis Expo going on today here, correct, Karen?
Correct. Yep, that's down off of Palmer Park and Academy at the Colorado Springs Event Center. Not to be confused with the other event centers in town, as we quickly learned that ourselves. Awesome expo going on, though. Plenty of some great people to talk to down there. Team Pluto, we were hanging out with them yesterday, helping them represent and spread the word about Charisse. She is now 47 days seizure-free, except for that one little episode there. So congratulations to Charisse. That is awesome. We're proud of you. We're so glad to hear that you're doing awesome. So
definitely. And August Kitchen's going to be having some great things coming up over the next week. We have been able to we're very grateful to be a part of Team Pluto since they've been able to come here in Colorado as a refugee for their cannabis treatments and help Charisse with their seizures. But we've had a limited ability that we've had. Hopefully Wednesday that may be changing. We do have our final inspection with the authorities that be the Colorado Marijuana Enforcement Division. The awesome people up there that make sure everybody's regulated. So hopefully after Wednesday, August Kitchen on Thursday will be on your shelves or before the weekend. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, but it's a big goal for us to have as well. So but we want to be on the shelves as quickly as possible. We want to make sure that we're bringing you quality products like we anticipate to do from day one. So
definitely. And then some of those products you can check out at augustkitchenllc.com. You can check out some of our other sponsors, cleanextracts.org, also Moonrise Cultivators, Lance, Chris, Gary, Andrea. You guys are amazing on the cultivation side. Moonrise Cultivators are the individuals that create all the plant material for August Kitchen to use, our wonderful business partners over there. So thanks again. If you are listening out there, Lance, thank you again. And Andrea, if you're listening on the way up to Denver to the Rockies game, we're jealous that you're going to the game. But yeah, go Rockies. So yeah, go to our website where we produce in barbecue sauce, buffalo wing sauce, strawberry jalapeno jam. We're playing with other ideas, right?
Yep, we got some other ideas brewing, so we'll have some more announcements coming soon, I'm sure. But we want to get those first few products on the shelf and get you enjoying some awesome summertime with August Kitchen. So
absolutely. So keep an eye out there. Again, you can check us out. You can hit us up on Facebook too, right, Aaron?
It's / August Kitchen LLC Colorado.
Awesome. So check us out on Facebook. Go like our Facebook page. Also, we've got a new page up for our show here.
The scienceofweedshow.com, excuse me. Definitely check out that website too. Mikey put that together for us. Thank you very much, Mikey. We appreciate that. Get some love on the actual Science of Weed show here. There's a whole section on the first page when you log on to there that you can send us questions. So anytime you have some questions about what you're going through, medical conditions or mental issues, whatever they may be, and you want to know how cannabis may affect that and you want some help with that, obviously, like we always recommend, reaching out to your physicians and your doctors and those that are, licensed to be giving you that information. But we want to do some help on our side and bring to you what we know as well.
Exactly, and that goes with the whole, like we talked about, the entourage effect with the cannabis plant itself. Not just THC, not just CBD. A lot of states are going with just the CBD idea, thinking that's what's going to be effective, and that's not. It's been proven that's not. The whole plant aspect is really what we need. So again, with that, you have to think about that aspect, that entourage aspect of your treatment too. If you're in a car accident, get that physical treatment, that physical therapy along with your medical treatment. Talk to your doctors. We are not doctors here. I'm a chemist. Mikey's a chemist. Aaron's
got my psychology background.
So
that's about it.
So we're not doctors. So talk to your physician, But if you have specific questions, we are the professionals to go to if you have questions in regards to your cannabis medicine. We can tell you. We can tell you exactly what you need to be using for a specific condition. So if you don't feel comfortable right away talking to your physician and you want to have a little bit more ammo, for lack of a better term, to go to your doctor with, call us up, go to the website, thescienceofweedshow.com, send us a message, hit us up on Facebook, go to our webpage. You can go to cleanextracts.org, to the contact page there. You can send us a message, everything.
Find us on Twitter. You can even hashtag the Science of Weed Show. or the science of weed. We'll find it. We're
Yeah.
out there.
Exactly. So yeah, send us to us. Give us opportunity to answer those questions for you, so you have the right information, the proper information.
Yep. And if for today you're not feeling like sending us a message, we will be present at the Cannabis Expo. So come down, check us out, meet Team Pluto, meet Pluto. He's an awesome dog. He's so cool. I love his eyes. He's got 3 different colored eyes, and they're just awesome. They blow my mind away.
Definitely. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Team Pluto, Sharice is the individual that Team Pluto represents, per se. And Sharice is a seizure patient from Texas.
Epileptic seizures.
Yep, that come from Texas because Texas does not have the legislation to pass.
Yep.
So she came to Colorado for a small trial to see if cannabis really was going to help her.
Yep.
That's what you should be doing. Try it out. Don't believe what you read. Come to Colorado, come to the other medical states and that sort of thing. Do it properly.
Yep.
Do what you're supposed to do. And she came here. She tried her cannabis. It helped. With the help of Mikey, Emerald Fields, and a couple other sponsors that they have originally, they got Sharice on the right path. Pluto came about because Pluto is the name of the dog. Now, Pluto is a seizure-sniffing dog. And it's exactly what you think there. Everybody hears about how the nose of a dog is extremely sensitive. Well, so much so that an animal can actually sense when that seizure is going to occur. So before Sharice actually has a seizure, about 10, 15 seconds or so before that occurs, or 10 or 15 minutes or so before that
8
occurs.
to 12 minutes, she said.
Yeah, 8 to 12.
Before
There you
that
go.
seizure occurs, Pluto will come and paw at her, or get her attention and let her know, alert her. And she said yesterday when I was chatting with her, Pluto could even be completely across the room. We were in the expo center, and it's a pretty decent sized room, and he was probably, what did we say, 50 to 100 feet away from her, and she wasn't worried about it. He can sense it even from across the room like that. As long as he has sight of her, he can let her know when it's going to happen, and he will break away from Nick, Sharice's husband, if he's got him on the leash or anything like that, so that he will go alert Sharice. There's no issue with it, which is awesome. So
And that's right. It is awesome. It's so come down to the Cannabis Expo, actually meet Pluto the dog, meet Sharice and Nick, see them, see how their lives are changed, see how she went from 10 to 50 seizures a day down to 47 days seizure free.
Yep.
And she did have one incident. We're calling it an incident because it was an incident that occurred at her hotel before she actually had her private residence and that sort of thing. So the stress of having cannabis on you and being confronted by a security guard, it can definitely have that sort of stressful effect on anyone.
Yep.
It send anyone into an episode of even seizures.
Yep. But she's doing amazing. I know yesterday she mentioned she was off, I believe, all the medications now, including the Xanax. And don't hold me to that. I'm sorry, I don't want to quote it for sure. But if that's the case, she was on 10 milligrams a day of Xanax, which if anybody's taken Xanax, you know how much that just dopes you out. And you're just a bump on a log, basically, unfortunately, not living life. And,
Exactly.
even getting down to 1 if she still is on that, and she had to wean off of it. And that was something that she learned when she first got here again. She was talking about yesterday at the expo. You have to wean off of things, especially with your doctor's orders on that, otherwise you're going to end up doing more harm than good sometimes. And we met another gentleman yesterday that we were chatting with, and he had some similar experiences with Xanax and whatnot, and is now off of all pharmaceuticals and only using cannabis for his medication, which is doing so much better for his body. Just the same as Sharice, she was mentioning yesterday, the scarring and the blisters or chemical blisters from all the medications she was on, and the torn ligaments, that they're healing now. They're not, getting worse day by day.
Yeah.
So
you realize that when somebody has that many seizures a day, just for her to walk across the expo center, to go outside to medicate if she needed to, or just take a break, or to get away from the stress, because it is stressful. She's pretty much being asked to do talks all the time and appearances and that sort of thing. So that can add some stress to her life too. But just the exhaustion of her tendons and muscles having to work to walk across a room after literally being exhausted and torn and that sort of thing through those episodes.
Yep.
It's amazing to see it, and to see your kids having a life back. The boys are amazing. Kyler and Hunter are awesome. Hunter, you're down in Texas, so hopefully you're having a good summer so far. Kyler, my son's here actually in town also, so hopefully Kyler and Lachlan, he's in the studio with us. Say hi, Lachlan.
Hello.
So, yeah, we're going to be hanging out with them a little bit throughout the summer too, which brings another topic that we're going to be touching with a little bit today. We may be having a guest on the show today with us. But we're going to talk a little bit in regards to a child using cannabis for whatever the condition is. We're going to get into some of that today and the good and the bad of it.
We don't want to go too much politics and soapbox on it because we all have our opinions. I mean, we do. But what we want to look at is try to look at what the science says of it. So we want to limit to that more. I mean, there's tons of articles coming out about kids using it for autism specifically is what we're going to discuss today. But it's back and forth, and I don't know how I personally feel about it, but if science tells me that it's going to work, I have to believe science to an extent as well. So
correct. And I think we sort of agreed as a company in regards to the treatment of children and medications. My son had a condition. I would be leery of what medicines I'm going to put in his body. I don't want to give him a bunch of bad stuff to where he's having organ problems later in life, or it hurts him, or it makes him want to sleep all day, or he can't go out and play, and that sort of thing. We talked
about kids on Ritalin. We brought it up in conversation ourselves the other day. My cousin was on it as a child for her ADHD symptoms, and just seeing what it did to a child, and a child coming up to you and saying, I don't want to take this anymore. I have to listen to that. And, you meet these kids that are using either the CBD high strains or, even a combination of THC and CBD strains. They're not coming up to their parents saying, I don't want to take it anymore, Mommy, I don't like it,
it doesn't affect the body.
You have to listen to your kid.
Yeah, correct. And we just so happened, I turned on this morning and Lachlan and I were watching TV and Aaron were watching TV, and they were making this little affordable robot that they're using for autistic children to interact with.
Yep.
It's something that is controlled by a therapist or a caregiver or a parent. And it gives the ability, it doesn't have any emotion, it doesn't have a face to it. It just has eyes that are displayed.
Yep.
And those eyes don't display emotion. So the child can't sort of interpret what's occurring. It takes away a lot of that ability or those interferences of the child. So, and it seemed to work, and that's what we really need to start changing the way we think about this. Okay, yeah, you've got a child that has a condition, and a doctor provides a prescription. Let's say it's a cancer patient. Okay, we all know it's just lower doses, same horrible treatments. Would you rather have your child on a cannabis treatment that early studies so far have shown that it does have a little bit of an effect on a developing brain? To what extent? That's why we need the research, because would you rather that, or would you rather have them on dialysis and die at 19, 20 years old because their organs are completely failing, or have them on an organ transplant list most of their lives and living in a hospital? We really have to start looking at the options here, and truly looking at the options, and looking at the research that provides it for us. So stand behind your legislation, even if you're not legalizing cannabis. Legalize the medical use of it so we have the research. Talk to your legislation and talk to people around you, and even in your neighborhood, do the research. Listen to our show. It's The Science of Weed. That's what we talk about here.
Yep.
So we're going to be bringing Mikey, our other host, is going to be coming back on here after the break too. We're going to delve a little bit more into the whole science behind it. We've got some information here in regards to a kid that was being treated with mostly a CBD concentration. Again, let's go back before we start getting into a lot of these chemicals. The main chemicals within the cannabis plant, THC, which everybody knows gets you high.
Gives you the psychoactive effect.
Yep. THCA, which is the precursor to THC, which doesn't have any psychoactive effect, but the medical benefits have been shown to be mild. We don't really know, again, because we need to do more research on that specific cannabinoid.
But most ways of consumption end up turning that THCA into THC.
That is correct.
So,
through decarboxylation, whether
yep.
you light it on fire, whether you're heating it, whether you're before you heat it. That sort of
Most
thing.
edibles companies are doing decarboxylation before they're baking those goods or making whatever,
Correct.
just the same as we do, so that it makes a better effect for you, but does take away that THCA. So again, like you said, that's why the testing and the research is needed.
Yep, absolutely. And then we've got CBN, which is sometimes confused with CBD, but CBN is after THC degrades a little further, it's really what makes you sleepy. That's what, for all you growers out there that are home growers that might be listening, when your trichromes turn from clear to cloudy, that's the THC. The cloudy turning amber is CBN. So that's that THC degrading into CBN. So that'll make you sleepy. So again, it does have its benefit. We just, now that we know, as bud tenders and dispensary owners, we can regulate that. As growers, we can regulate that and then recommend to the patient what they need. And then we're looking at the CBD. Now, this is what everybody's hearing. This is what you see on Facebook. So order your CBD oil nationwide now and all this other stuff. It's you really need to make sure you're getting a proper product. CBD is what people are researching that doesn't have any psychoactive effects, but it really attacks the receptors in the body properly to do what it's supposed to do and do what people are expecting it to do on the medical side of things. And this kit's on the 20-to-1 ratio CBD. So 20 part CBD, 1 part THC. So that
There's
one
so
part
little.
is so little that the effect that we're thinking that this is going to have on a child doesn't really have the effect you're thinking.
No more than like a cough medicine, or you can
Correct. Or giving your child ibuprofen at high doses for a long period of time to combat a fever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ulcers that can be developed through using painkillers and NSAIDs and that sort of thing. You know, that's can be just as bad.
Yep.
You know, we got to get rid of that taboo. We need to get the science behind it and start educating people on why they need to use this. And again, that's us too. Because like we said, we took a stance of no. And now that we're starting to do a little bit more research, it's like, okay, we're looking at the lesser of two evils almost here. Okay, would you want to use a bunch of pharmaceutical meds that are created in the laboratory that destroy the rest of your body but help one thing? Or do you want to use a plant that could over a long term affect brain function? We don't know yet. Early studies do say that there is some of that effect that goes on in child developing brains that we need to pay attention to.
Yep.
We need to put the money and research towards that because everybody knows. I've got a child. A lot of people out there have parents or have friends that have parents or know the kids or teachers, so forth. They're our future. The children are the future of this world. And without caring for them and making sure that they have proper care in the future, then we're destroying ourselves.
Yep.
You know, we really are. We're setting ourselves back so far that it's not worth it.
Yep.
So again, we're getting a little bit of political at the beginning of our show here today, but again, it's more so to push for the science to be available for these universities to do so. You know, and thanks to Casey Stark out there, if you happen to be listening to, you know, on the Prohibition tour. Unfortunately, his tour got ended a little early because of transmission issues on the van twice, and then having to travel all the way back to the East Coast. But you know, guys like him that are traveling across the country to spread knowledge, true knowledge, not political BS, not this stuff that somebody's just trying to pull out of their back pocket to try and make things sound good. That's not us. That's not what we're looking to do here.
Yep.
We're a proper industry with proper science, giving proper medicine to people. And that's what we're here for. And August Kitchen and Emerald Fields, we're dedicated to that. Our program, CBD for free, and his CannaCare program, that's what we're looking to do here.
Yep.
So again, you're listening to the Science of Weed here on Let'sTalkPot.com. When we come back, we're going to get a little bit more in detail with cannabis use, autism, children, and that sort of thing. And again, if you have any questions, hit us up at 591-5874, 719-591-5874. It's the Science of Weed on Let'sTalkPot.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen.
What's up, man? How's it going?
We'll get
I like
Mikey in on that mic check here in just a minute, too.
Cool. So what we talking about?
So Lachlan, can I have you? I'm gonna
Well,
swing your chair around.
Last week we had talked about Jamie
having
coming
you.
in and doing autism and cannabis, so we just kind of went with that.
Okay. Yeah, she just I texted her on Facebook. She's like, I had no idea I was supposed to do that. I was like, did Aaron and Eddie talk to you? Oh no, they never did. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, well, no worries. Let's just try again for next week or something.
Oh,
So
I don't know her. I haven't
Yeah,
actually met. I thought you were chatting with her on that because I don't know her. I have her on Facebook, but I don't.
that's all. I do.
Oh, okay. I thought you would.
The only time I ever met her was
Oh, weird.
She's like,
yes, yeah. I sent her a message earlier in the week being like, you know, hey, so we're doing the show this weekend, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was like, send me I got his medical background. So I said, yeah, she sent me his medical background. Yeah, did you not know? You sent me all this stuff. She's a damn head bad. She's a damn head really, really bad.
It's the Weed Talk on K-High. It's giving you a contact buzz. And just turn it down a little. K-High, the Weed Talk station.
And welcome back to the Science of Weed on letstalkpot.com. All right, you're in the studio with the whole crew right now. Welcome back, Mikey. He's been down in Pueblo working on some new stuff down there for Emerald Fields. Some awesome stuff happening, right?
Oh yeah, big grow indeed.
So awesome. Okay, well, before we went to the break, we were talking a little bit about autism and cannabis use with children involved.
Yep.
We're going to get a little bit more into that too right now. Again, if it were my child, I'm going to go ahead and delve right in, put myself under the bus here per se. You know, I've got a 9-year-old son, getting ready to be 10. Awesome young man. I mean, I have to say, I'm very, very lucky. Great athlete, martial artist. Just got accepted into a gifted program for music. Missed art by a little bit, but we're going to retry that next year. So really awesome. So for him to get sick would destroy me. And to, with my current knowledge, to walk into a physician's office and for him to hand me a prescription for whatever it is, whether it's issues with cancer or a blood disease or whatever the condition may be, whether it's neurological, whatever the condition may be. You know, he jumped in the pool and hit his head and, you know, now has seizures. This might be an easy debate for me now. The more and more I look it up, the more and more it cannabis is the lesser of the two evils. I'm not going to say that cannabis is an evil in this aspect, and we've always been honest on this show. If we don't think that it's going to help, it's not. We've spoken before in regards to, I believe it was Heidi that had the leg swelling, the edema. That's a completely different issue. You need to talk to your cardiovascular doctor about that and get into those issues. And we're going to address cannabis the same way with kids. It's the lesser of two evils. It's okay. What can you do here? And if the studies come out to where it's not where it should be, yes, I will change my stance. But currently, right now, the way it is, I would rather have Lachlan. Where as a chemist, it's easier for me because I know exactly what I'm putting in his body. I can make it myself. But finding, if I wasn't, you can go to a dispensary like Emerald Fields that actually employs a chemist that knows what they're talking about, where I can talk openly in regards to my child's condition and say, okay, what is this going to do?
And that's right. And, of course, the big disclaimer here is anyone that would walk into our store, we would ask, does your child have a red card? And the reason we would want that is because we want a medical physician to sign off on their cannabis use. Yeah, we can recommend it all we want, but it needs to be coordinated through their physician. And if their physician's not on board with it, then in that case, we would probably, refer them to another doctor that might be more sympathetic to marijuana use, or just tell them, we don't want to give you advice that goes against what your doctor is telling you because that's counterproductive for both parties.
Yeah, exactly. Because they can be. They're two drugs that can counteract each other.
Right.
So,
it takes a lot for marijuana itself to interfere with other pharmaceutical drugs. You need to be taking around 1,600 milligrams a day, typically to interfere with most other psychotropic drugs. But it can happen, and there's not enough research, at the moment to discount the fact that, hey, maybe there are a couple of drugs that, 200 or 300 milligrams a day is going to make some toxic compound in the body. We just saw that. So
yeah, exactly. And there's more and more. I think there's been a couple states just recently that are sort of gearing their legislation, again, for lack of a better term, to the educational aspect. Florida just reinstated their lottery system that they're going to draw for their cannabis licenses. Well, one of those things is stating that they changed the law to state that part of it has to go towards research.
Good.
And that's the way it should be. Why not? Colorado really took a stand, and I got to say, but that much money being put back into the school system is amazing. And for those of you to say, yeah, right, it went all towards the politicians. I tell you what, it didn't. You can look at the numbers. You can praise the Freedom of Information Act for that. You fill out the paperwork, get the report, read the report, see where the money went, see what taxes were brought in, and that sort of thing. Do the research for yourself. This can help. And I applaud Florida for doing that, for saying, okay, well, let's dedicate part of this tax money to something to improve what it is.
Right.
We're one of the only industries that have ever done that. You don't see many other industries that are saying, okay, well, we're going to take all this. Definitely not the alcohol industry.
No.
You don't see those profits going to anybody other than Joe Schmo.
Yeah, same with tobacco.
Yeah, exactly. They're not giving back to the community like they should.
I don't think it would be in their best interest to support research.
No, not at all.
Use more tobacco.
Right.
Yay.
Smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol for medicine. I don't think that would go over real well.
And now we're still really starting to break down those stereotypes. Delaware's hopping on board. Georgia's hopping on board. Some of the southern states that I'm from Georgia. I grew up 13 years in Georgia. And not to sound horrible, but I really detested what was occurring when I was in Georgia in the 90s, especially around that. There was no tolerance for anything. It was so closed-minded that I really didn't think that they'd be coming on board. Same thing with Texas. Even to start with legislation. That's granted, we can shoot it down. Yeah. Because it's crappy legislation, let's be honest.
It is. I guess they require a physician to prescribe you a federally controlled substance that there is no way to actually acquire. At the moment. Now, apparently in Texas by 2016, they will have at least a minimum of 3 cannabidiol dispensaries where they'll be selling strains like the Charlotte's Web.
Do you know how big Texas is?
That's what I said. I said a minimum of 3.
My mom was in Texas a couple weeks ago helping with the floods and everything, and she didn't realize how much of a
It's
distance there is between
Yeah.
point A and point B in Texas. I'm like, yeah, Texas is pretty big.
Yeah.
So 3
Yeah.
dispensaries, that's pretty.
Well, they said a minimum of
A
3.
minimum,
So
okay.
yeah,
Wow.
where would you put that? Like Austin, Houston, DFW,
guess
somewhere
the big
around there.
places, yeah.
Hopefully they allow at least 10.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah.
so I've got some
Well-
friends down there already looking to get into it. They're already trying to figure out how to apply.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, you know, and once that does, though, you have to think those smaller municipalities are gonna say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Mhm.
We want a piece of this pie. You guys are sitting here making all this money. We want a little bit of that."
Yep.
And but as constituents, we have to stand up and say where that money's going to go. We really do. Don't allow it to go into politics, into that pool, because it just gets lost in the pool and then ends up in somebody's pocket as a bonus.
Mhm.
Let's dedicate where it goes. Let's
Right.
not allow it to go into a pool. Let's not say, "Oh, well, it's just going to go into the surplus."
Right.
Surplus for what? For
Right.
nothing. For somebody's increase in salary.
Right.
No, let's not do that. Let's dedicate that money. So if you are in one of those states and your legislation's coming up, take a stand. Say, no, we need the research and development. We need the education behind it. Put it into research and put it into education. That's what we need. Now, granted, we're in a situation here in Colorado with the roads. We had a surplus in our cannabis tax.
Yes.
$8 million.
And
Yep.
that's a lot of money to be used,
Oh, yeah.
So too much tax was taken in Colorado from cannabis use, and it had to be allocated or given back to the people at $1.50 a piece.
Right.
Come on, let's be honest. We need, let's just put it back. Let's do
Give
what
it
we're
to
supposed
donate
to
to NIH for cannabis research or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's $1.50.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly right. And especially people saying, "Oh, well, I want my $1.50." Did you go in a dispensary this year? You didn't. What are you getting your $1.50 back for?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want your $1.50 back for? Wait a second, I should be getting like $100 back. I was in that dispensary all the time. Thank you, Strawberry Fields. So, but yeah, it's definitely getting into an issue of now we're talking about children. Now we're talking about other issues on a realistic level, though.
And that is a hard debate. Where do you draw the line with kids? We do know some things. There are some negative side effects to marijuana, just like most pharmaceutical drugs, or all pharmaceutical drugs. We do know that smoking before the age of 25 can create less of connections from the frontal lobe and the rest of the brain. They go back and forth on whether it increases or decreases white matter. So it's really we've seen studies that show both at this point. And then the big question is, do you want to get your kids stoned all day long? As a side effect of the medicine, a lot of times they are going to get high for it to be beneficial and to be a real CB1 agonist. So there is a lot of thought that goes into this, especially these doctors that are prescribing it to kids, because it's not a cure for everyone, and it's not a cure if your kid's just, ADD or something like that. Don't just get them high. We're not endorsing stuff to that nature.
Oh,
No.
But there are, with the epilepsy, that's without a doubt something that benefits the kid. And
Yes.
the side effects are significantly lower than, they would be on some of the medications that we've seen,
Yep.
these seizure patients taking. Depakote. I think it was
Jeez.
Creed, Aaron's kid. He's on Depakote or something to the point that they had to start taking him off because his blood work is showing liver enzymes, elevated liver enzymes.
Yep.
So for those of you who don't understand what that means, whenever you have an elevated enzyme, whether it be cardiac enzymes after a heart attack, you've had damage to that organ. So the cells, they get broken up essentially, and they leak, lack of a better term, they leak these enzymes into the blood. So if you're finding liver enzymes in the blood that don't belong there, you know that there's some damage being done to the liver. And in this case, Depakote is very detrimental to the liver. It's one of the first drugs you learn about in pharmacology,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, in that case, when should you take a kid off something like Depakote and allow them to take cannabis? If it's just like you were saying earlier, the lesser of two evils. A lot of times, this is why the physicians are looking at it more now. Why do we want to keep giving something to a kid where we know it's gonna damage him? Where at least the cannabis, there might be a little bit of developmental processes that are slowed down, but not like Depakote and Xanax and
Correct.
stuff are gonna do. They're not influencing the brain and that negatively.
Yeah,
So-
and and not to sort of to dumb it down a little bit in that aspect, to say, okay, well, you're sitting in the bed with your child who is waiting on a liver transplant, And great, he can read those pages a couple seconds faster.
Right. Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, you can either have your child that, yeah, may have a small developmental setback,
Right.
as opposed to literally being on organ transplant lists.
Right.
You know,
And
learning
let's
from
be
a
honest
hospital
here
bed.
too. What age were you when you started smoking pot? I mean, I was probably 14 or 15, you know,
I
so
was a little bit older. I was like 18, 19.
Funny.
I didn't
Yeah.
get developed. I don't have any developmental delays. And I
No.
started smoking pretty early. I went to college and grad school and did
Yeah.
well, you know, like, I mean,
Exactly.
it's not like it's that harmful. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but again, more research needs to be done. Just like with anything else, you know, look how long it takes to get a pharmaceutical drug passed, right? You're looking at the reason they give you a 17-year patent is because it's going to take 6 or 7 to get it approved once you've developed the drug.
Yes.
You know, so you got to go through all the case studies, all the different phases, clinical trials, and then what? You've got 10 years to recoup your money. You know, so we know that it takes a long time in any sort of pharmaceutical development to actually really figure out the negative side effects, and then kind of give the physicians a chance to weigh that for the patient. You know, is the negative side effect worth the benefit of the positive attribute of the drug?
Yeah.
And that's where we just don't. We're not there with cannabis yet. You know, it looks like there's a lot of promising benefits to it, and we haven't really found much on the negative side. Right now, it's, you know, as you guys talked about last week, it's more of a political campaign that has made marijuana look terrible in the eyes of the public. It's not the actual use and the benefits and the negative side effects. It's the public perception.
Correct. And you know, and everybody in this, everywhere, sorry, that Cheech and Chong sort of set that stereotype.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, we had to find a way to joke it off because that's what Reefer Madness did back in the 30s for us. I mean, it just made it a joke. So we continued with that joke. And I mean, you think about all the stoner movies out there, you know, you've got Grandma's Boy, you've got Friday and Friday After Next. They're
Pineapple
all that
Express.
same, you know, and
Yeah.
they're all the same stereotype. Exactly. So
Yeah.
we have to break it, just like we've talked about. We have to bring that more polished professional side to the cannabis industry. And that's what, you know, all of us here are doing or trying to do, and let you know you don't have to be a loser on the couch dropping out of college or dropping out of high school just because you're smoking pot.
There's more to it than the counterculture now. It's not just the High Times Magazine counterculture fueled, you know, population here. There's, in fact, what I've been surprised by is, you know, having a dispensary. When I go in there, you know, we're packed all the time, so you get to see a lot of different people. Most of them are, you know, look well-to-do, middle-aged, you know, customers.
Yeah.
They're not these young kids just looking to get stoned. They're people that actually have a legitimate medical concern, like, hey, I've got back pain. I've tried this; it seems to help. You know, I've got this. You know, we've seen that it works for balancing insulin levels and stuff with people with diabetes.
Exactly.
We see this all the time with just the number of people we get in our shops. And so it's when you see it up close and you realize that the patient population is not what I think people realize back home in Texas and other states that have kind of disapproved it. It's not that at all. These are responsible adults using it responsibly.
Eddie and I were in your shop, you know, a month ago or so, and while we were leaving, Eddie had missed it, but I noticed it. There were 2 ladies that had to have been well over 60 years old. I
But we get a lot of them.
completely white hair, you know, and dressed up to the nines like they were going to church on a, you know, a regular
yeah.
Sunday type of dress up, you know. And I mean, that's awesome to see those kind of people coming around and being progressive enough to say, hey, this medication is working better for me and doing better for my body than the medications my doctors put me on.
Yeah, and we see that. Those are individuals that, wait a second, this has only been going on for 7 years or so years, that
Yeah.
their parents were there before cannabis was even an issue. Like,
Yeah.
wait a second, this was all over the place.
Wasn't
People were like,
It wasn't even on labels back in the
Yeah,
day, you know. We just had it in some over-the-counter medications.
Yeah,
and
the
no
tinctures.
surprise,
Yeah.
there's actually marijuana in that. So
and you know, we took a wrong turn somewhere. So, and there's nothing we can do about it other than try to correct it over time here.
Mhm.
And that's what we're doing. Just like with the science of weed and that sort of thing, trying to make sure that we correct these. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more in regards to cannabis and epilepsy and autism. You're listening to The Science of Weed on letstalkpot.com.
this? And welcome back to the Science of Weed on letstalkpot.com. You are here with Eddie, Aaron, and Mikey in the studio, and we have Lachlan hanging out with us today as well. Very cool. All right, so we're going to get back to kind of the basis of what we had originally intended this show to be about, which was autism and cannabis. We've kind of gone on a soapbox today, guys. Apologies about that. So just a couple quick notes about autism. Just so you know, it is a serious developmental disorder that impairs the ability to communicate and interact. A lot of times you'll see the kids, they can't even look at, a camera. I know Jamie had mentioned that. I've been following her on Facebook, her and Colt. He couldn't look at the camera even to take a picture with family members or anything like that, and that's just crazy not to have a frontal face picture of your kid until they're 8, 9 years old, and they've found some relief. So very crazy. One little side note about autism too, within the pharmaceutical drug world, there are actually no pharmaceutical drugs that are specifically for autism. Most doctors prescribe off-label, is what they call them, medications, which are just prescriptions that they think are going to help. So it's a guessing game just as much on that pharmaceutical side as it is, with cannabis and finding out what strains are going to work best for you and what levels of CBD versus THC and things of that nature. So
we brought this up before, most doctors you go see, even if it's something as simple as blood pressure, they're going to try a few different medications on you to see which one has any side effects. So it's not that dissimilar to what a bud tender and what you might experiment with marijuana.
Exactly. They're using a lot of the antipsychotic medications, such as like Zyprexa is one of them they're using, Zoloft, Prozac, things like that to help with aggression that you'll see a lot of times within autism. Yep. All those SSRIs, and things that are, I've talked to older people that have hard times getting off of these medications. I can't imagine what it's doing to these
Right.
It also brings up a scary door there.
Oh
Because
yeah.
then you're going to open up pharmaceutical companies to say, okay, now I'm going to make this chemical to make sure that you have the right cannabinoids in your
Oh
body.
yeah. Look how many of them are trying to make FAH inhibitors right
Yes,
now. You know,
exactly.
they figured out the mechanism behind CBD. And to their credit, they've kind of been tinkering with this for a while since they discovered the endocannabinoid system. They've known about the FAH inhibitor, fatty acid amide hydroxylase inhibitor. So now you can't really, it's real hard to patent something that a plant produces, but if you can make a synthetic agent that does the same exact thing, now you do have a chemical structure that is patentable. And so that's the way the pharmaceutical companies are taking this. And
Yes.
so part of what we want to send out there is you don't necessarily have to go that route. You can go the natural route with cannabis. It's just you're going to have to dial it in quite a bit.
Yeah, and use us. Use your local dispensaries. That's what
Oh, yeah.
we're here for. I mean, there's, we talked about the 3 in Texas. Yes, that would be hard for you. That's hard to just walk in and spend the time. It's going to be hard for those dispensaries to spend the time with that many patients. But here in Colorado, we have an abundance. We have an abundance of physicians. We have an abundance of individuals that are professionals in this industry. All you have to do is ask.
Right. And again, this is another thing. You can log on to our website, thescienceofweedshow.com. We will recommend a physician to you. We know several in the area that are cannabis friendly, and they're going to shoot you straight. If you bring your kid or yourself in there and they don't feel that marijuana is going to efficiently help you, they're going to tell you. So they're trustworthy, and we'd be happy to put you in contact with these physicians.
Yeah, definitely. So hit us up. We're coming up towards the end of our show now, but make sure you visit the show. Call us up here at K-Hide 719-591-5874. That's 719-591-KUSH. Spells out Kush there. You can hit us up.
KUSH.
Yeah, K-U-S-H. You can hit us up at augustkitchenllc.com. cleanextracts.org, greenricecultivators.com, emeraldfields.com. thescienceofweedshow.com is the best place to get a hold of us.
Mhm.
Like I said, like Mikey said, we do have the blog that's on there.
Mhm.
We do have a private messaging, so if you do send us a message, again, we do respect all HIPAA laws. We will ask for your approval before we discuss
Right.
any of your condition or anything about your condition on the air. We do respect you in that aspect. If you hear something that's on our show and you have more questions, again, definitely ask us.
And there's also a link to the show to listen to it live. So there's a link to K-High on the website. So if you're chiming in, just browsing, getting on the blog, and you want to listen to the show live, there's a link there too as well.
Yep. And don't forget, you can always go back and watch us on YouTube. If you
Yep.
subscribe to K-High's channel on youtube.com, you can find The Science of Weed. I think I was muted for a little while on this episode, so my apologies.
We still haven't got that down
we're still
yet.
good at this.
And we will be down at the U.S. Cannabis Expo today at the Colorado Springs Event Center off of Palmer Park and Academy. Come check us out with Team Pluto. Meet Pluto the dog and
Oh, yeah.
Sharice. 47 days seizure free.
That's right.
You're listening to The Science of Weed here on letstalkpot.com. And here's a last little exit from our good friend Lachlan.
Have a great weekend.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
This is